Yo, what's up guys? It's time for part 7 of the 0 to 100,000 Robux challenge. Last time we finished off with a total of 80,128 Robux. So in this episode, we're definitely going to finish off the stadium. Last time we got a lot of work done on it, and today we're finally going to finish it and get the rest of the Robux from the actual build. If you remember, I already got 25,000 and I'm going to get an additional 25,000. So that means that I'm getting another 17,500 Robux added to the counter. So far, the stadium has been a pretty crazy project. It's definitely my biggest build I've ever done on Roblox, and it was a really big part of this series. It took me over 5 episodes to actually finish it. We started it in episode 3 and we're just finishing it now in episode 7. So far, I'm really happy with how it's turned out and how it's looking. The field looks amazing and the interior looks pretty good too. So I hope you guys see the same way that I do and hope you guys enjoy it as well. I wish there was more details I can add to make it more realistic and make it look more like the actual stadium, but the only problem with that is that it would cause a bunch of lag and the game would pretty much be unplayable. But with what I was able to add, I actually really like how it turned out, and I think it turned out really nicely. When I first started, I didn't even think about what it would look like in the end, but I think it definitely exceeded my expectations and I think I did a pretty good job with it. The only problem, like I said earlier, is the lag, because there are a lot of parts with it since I didn't really use any meshes, and because of all the seats, it creates a lot of lag as well. But I definitely learned a lot from this project, and that's a good thing about doing like a new kind of build that I've never done before and doing something so big, is that there's a lot of things that I've never done in any of my other builds, so I got to learn a lot by doing them in this one. So after working on this project for weeks and putting in tens of hours into it, it's finally done. I finally finished the football stadium. Earlier in the series, we were commissioned 50,000 Robux to actually make the stadium, and I finally finished it. I'm really happy with how the field turned out. I honestly think that's the best part of it. It looks really nice. Obviously, the field isn't the only part of it, and there's an interior as well. I put in a bunch of shops and a bunch of stores for the stadium where people can buy food and buy merchandise. There's a total of 2 different floors to the stadium. I really like how everything turned out. Next, let's see how many sales we actually have gotten on the clothing so far. We've gotten a total of 733 new sales. So that means that we made 2,932 Robux off the clothing. So I just got another commission to make a New York City style subway station. In the first episode, we also made another subway station, but this one is supposed to be an underground one, so it is pretty different. He already paid me 5,000 Robux, and I'm really excited to actually get started with this one. So let me just get straight to work. So when I actually started this entire challenge, the entire 0 to 100,000 challenge, I had about 27,000 subscribers about 3 months ago on December 1st when the first one was uploaded. And now we're almost at 50,000. We're only about 1,000 subscribers away. So it's pretty crazy to think about how much we've actually grown as a result of this challenge and just as a result of my videos doing really well on YouTube. So I really want to thank you guys for that, because obviously it's all thanks to you guys. But so far, I've been really happy with how the series has turned out. I think all the episodes have gotten better I think my building has gotten a lot better. My video making has been better. I've gotten a lot better with editing and stuff like that. So overall, this challenge has been a lot of fun for me, and I think it's been really great for my channel as well. But we also were able to make a ton of Robux as a result of the challenge. Obviously, we started at 0 and we're currently at about like 98,000. So we've made a lot of progress and we've definitely made a lot of profit. I had 0 investments going into the build, and now we have over 90,000 Robux. And also another great thing is that all the clothes that I've made are gonna keep making me Robux even when the challenge is done. That's the great thing about making clothes, is that they'll always make you Robux. I mean, as you guys can see, throughout every episode, I always gain a few hundred extra sales and sometimes even a few thousand extra sales. So it's really crazy how much clothing can actually make you in Robux. So here's the final product of the build. I think it actually looks pretty good. I put all the details that it's supposed to have, and it looks pretty realistic to the reference images. But this build officially marks the end of the challenge. We've officially hit 100,000 Robux. So let's take some time to look at some of the builds that I made this series. So all the way back on December 1st, for our first episode of the challenge, we made this build right here. It was a New York City subway station, and we got 5,000 Robux to actually start off the entire challenge. I think it's actually funny that our first build and our last build were actually very similar. They were both New York City subway stations. So for our second build, we made this hotel right here, and we actually got 5,000 Robux for it. We made an entire lobby. I furnished everything, has a bunch of floors in it, and I really like how this one turned out as well. For our second build of the challenge, I think it was pretty nice. So for our next build, we actually made this one right here and got 3,000 Robux for it. I also like how this one turned out. I think the textures were really nice on it, and it was actually pretty big as well. I think the details with the moss and other stuff actually made it look really good and made it look way better than it was before. For our fourth build in the series, we made this building right here. It's really simple, but it was actually pretty nice, and I got 2,000 Robux for it. So next, we actually started working on the stadium, which took me a total of 5 episodes to finish, and we got 50,000 Robux for it. It's my biggest build I've ever made, and it has a lot on the inside and on the outside, which I actually think looks really good. I wish there was more detail I can add to it, but the only problem is then it would be super laggy. But with what I was able to do, I think it actually turned out pretty nicely. Next, I actually made this house right here, and this was probably the worst build of the series because I only got 1,000 Robux. This build was definitely worth way more than 1,000, and for the future I know I shouldn't do anything like that, and I should ask for way more on my builds. But as far as how it turned out, I actually think it turned out pretty nicely. Next, we made these two builds for the same person. First, we made this modern build, and we also made this one both for the same person as a restaurant. These two builds had a whole story to it. The person asked for a refund after I was already finished and stuff like that. So this was really a big problem with these two builds. And to be honest, I don't really like how they turned out, not because I think I did a bad job with it, but because of the reference images, I didn't really like it. Next, we made this small build right here and got about 1,000 Robux for it. I think it's pretty small, but I think it has a lot of detail to it at the same time, and I like how it actually turned out. So next, I actually made this build right here, and I got 3,500 Robux for it. I think it was pretty big, but it had no interior, so it wasn't too bad. And with that build, I also made this one, this smaller house, that went together with it. After that, I made this lighthouse right here, and I think it actually looked pretty well. And I actually think it turned out pretty well. I like all the detail with it, and it is actually pretty big. And there's even a staircase on the inside going all the way from the bottom straight to the top. And I got a total of 3,300 Robux for finishing it. Next, we did this build right here and got a total of 6,000 Robux for it. It's just a house with 2 floors, but I like all the detail with it, and I really like how the roof turned out on it. So next, we made this build right here for 3,000 Robux. It's a pretty small house, but it's supposed to be modern, and I think I actually like how it turned out. It's definitely a lot different than what I'm used to doing, but it's always cool to work on something new. Next, we did this build right here for 4,000 Robux. It's a pretty huge complex of buildings. There's a few different buildings in it, and it actually looks really nice. This is one of my favorite builds that I made in the series. I just like the style of it, and I like how it's pretty simple. And then, of course, we have the build that we made this video, another NYC style train station. So that's the end of the challenge for now. We've officially made it from 0 Robux all the way to 100,000 Robux. This series has been pretty crazy. We've gotten a lot of new people supporting, and I really appreciate that. Thank you to everyone who's watched this series, left a like, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate all you guys. I most likely will be starting a new series where I try to go to 500,000 Robux, or maybe even 1 million. Let me know what you guys want to see in the comment section below, and I'll make it happen. I really hope you guys did enjoy the series. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.